Okay, it looks like we are live here. So I want to start doing this where I kind of critique. I don't know if you guys use Lightroom CC, but if you are getting started in photography, one of the softwares that I recommend start using is probably Lightroom CC. I know it's subscription based, and there's actually a lot of stuff going around right now about Adobe and their end user license agreement. But let's just kind of forget about that. Let's think maybe that has been resolved. Anyways, so I shared. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but there's what Lightroom CC has is this. You can share your photos to their own built-in community. And I shared this photo a little while ago, and it's been remixed. I don't know if you guys can see this down here quite a few times. So this is my photo right here on the left side. And on the right side is basically after all my edits that I did. Now, I shot it on a cloudy day in La Jolla. Again, I mean, you can't control the weather. It's June gloom. But if you're getting started in photography, one of the benefits of this Lightroom community thing that's built into the software is you can actually see what people have edited, how they edited their photos. Now, hopefully you're capturing everything in camera. And again, look at the original photo, it's a little bit underexposed. And here on the right-hand side, you can kind of go step by step. If I actually hit the little play button, it'll go step by step on what I've done as far as the edits, the settings, the color grading, texture, all those little things. So if you're not sure what things do, exploring other people's work or remixing other people's work, which is what I'm gonna go through, you can kind of begin to see what some of these settings, how to edit stuff, and you can tell that some of these edits were done by people that were really new to this because, I mean, you'll see. Like, I'm gonna stop this thing right there. Okay, so that's kind of what I went with, right? Gloomy, shadowy, warm, ground. Okay, now the first one that I'm gonna pull up here, I'm not sure who this person is. It's Mary Beth. And she lowered the exposure and cranked up the contrast and the highlights. So, I mean, you can kind of get some cool, interesting clouds right here. You can pull out more texture in the clouds, but you can kind of see the image is starting to fall apart. Texture got cranked up, clarity got cranked up, and to be honest with you, that's not my, But again, it's cool to be able to experiment with other people's shots, to be able to see, how you would edit it. I see they cranked up the tint here. Anyways, let's go to the next one. Let's see if there's anything. So, actually, this is kind of not bad. I don't like that it's so heavily blue. I like that they kind of cropped it in a little bit, but again, not one of my favorites. Let's see this one. Okay, this one, I guess they cropped it into a square, which cool, like for social stuff, but it's way too dark. You lose way too much detail on everything. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this person brought up, we can kind of see that they cranked up the shadows here. They cranked up the whites. And so the model here is actually decently exposed, but there's literally no color in the background. And I want to see what they did here. Yeah, they did some masks. So let's see what the masks did. That's the mask. And I'm pretty sure they like cranked down that saturation. All right, let's see what this guy did. All right, way too. You can see it's kind of goofy. Anyways, like again, you can experiment, see what you like, see what you don't like. I see that they masked this area, and it looks like they cranked down that exposure and went super high with the contrast, and they're crushing the blacks right here. This is cool. Again, if you're learning photography and then you're wanting to know how to edit, how to do certain things, I'm gonna be sharing how my editing goes in Lightroom CC, and I'm gonna try to do these live sessions, so where either I'll edit or I'll look at what other people have edited as far as my shots. Let's go to the next one here. Okay, but the blue is obnoxious. I'm gonna go to this one. Okay, that's kind of interesting. They added a mask right here, and actually kind of without it on, I kind of like it. It almost looks like she's in the sky. There's no floor, which is an interesting way to go. Let's see what they did here. So in this mask, they lowered the exposure, saturation's cranked up. They changed the hue, and that's why we get that blue. So there's a lot of built-in stuff that you can start messing around with. So this Lightroom, it's like Photoshop. So all these edits have been done inside of Lightroom, and they haven't really been brought into Photoshop. Let me see here. Okay, that's kind of more like the original, right? Okay, way too. Anytime you crank one of these settings, let me see what they did here. Yeah, right here. So this is what it looks like with a little bit, like all these settings applied, and then this mask just went crazy with the blue. And again, if you're just experimenting, having fun, maybe, but I mean, if I were to deliver that to a client, they might be like, what are you thinking? What were you thinking with this color? All right, let's look. Okay, that one's looking more like true to life, which I kind of like it. It's a little boring. And again, when I shot this, I wish there was sunlight and I wasn't using strobes or flash photography. So, I mean, I wanted to pull in some color into those shadows, and I was able to do all this within Lightroom without bringing it into Photoshop. Let's see if there's any other last interesting ones here. Oh, that's an interesting crop right here. But again, I just feel like they're crushing the blacks. So one of the things that I would suggest you guys, if you're new to photography, go in here, look at what other people are shooting, look at what they've shot. What do you like about them? Can you explain why you like something? Maybe put it into words why you don't like it. The more you can vocalize your thoughts and like, okay, the composition and basically familiarize yourself with some of these terms and this way of describing a photo, you are going to be able to communicate that to potential clients, even if you want to take on clients. But you're going to be able to describe, and you're going to be able to hone in on what specifically you like and what you like about your work and what you don't like about your work. I know sometimes sharing your work and opening it up for being critiqued is not so popular, but it's one of the ways you're gonna grow. Like if you post this on whatever your Instagram or whatever social media that you're doing, and you're not getting much attention, well, why is it? But basically, you want to be able to communicate into words, put it into words why something you like works and why something doesn't. And what I found that it helped me do is when working with clients, I was able to articulate, again, my thoughts. I'm coming from this creative side where when editing, I'm not thinking about any of this stuff. I'm just like moving the slides around, moving the settings around. But then being able to communicate as to why I chose these colors, why I chose this contrast, why I chose this composition. It's training for you to be able to talk about your work, maybe defend your creative choices, and being able to then later on develop your style. I think you begin to have a firmer grip on what your style is. So whether you're if you're a photographer, if you're a hobbyist, or if you're looking to become a professional, or maybe you started your professional work being a freelancer or whatever, being able to explain yourself. And again, it's selling, to be honest with you. It's selling. Over the past probably 4 weeks, I've been paying attention more about how I communicate, because it's just like being able to communicate with a photo. Words are also important. And if you're not adding words, or you're not gonna get much client work, which is where I'm coming at this from. I'm coming at photography from not just a creative side, but from a perspective of looking to earn, because I earn a living through photography and video. Anyways, not to ramble on too much, but I just wanted to show you guys this. And this is where it's under the community tab. If I hit community right here, you guys will be able to see other people's photography. I'm gonna get rid of this panel right here. So you can look at other people's photos. Again, that's a little, you can see the before and after of edits. And there's a little section here called remixes. So let's say I wanna take one of these photos and, see what I would do differently. So again, more practice. If you don't have photos to edit, this is where you can go and say, you know what, I really like this spider one, right? This is the other cool thing that Adobe has done, is that there's presets. So let's say you like how they edited something. You can save that as a preset and be able to apply these settings to your own photos to see if it works. I've tried them. I've created some presets. So if you go to my profile, you can kind of look at some of the presets that I've done, and you can try to see if they would work for your stuff. But one thing about the presets, it's that, especially if you end up adding masks and other stuff, or change the crop, it may not work for you. So here's my remix. Let's say, you know what? I think the shadows are too, let me see, I'm gonna hit remix here. Okay, so here's the photo. Okay, got it, start my remix. So I see from the histogram that everything is on the darker side. So maybe I'm just gonna bump up the exposure, right? But you see the highlights are starting to get blown out. I'm gonna crank down the highlights. I see that the color is on the cool side. So maybe I'm gonna change, I wanna warm it up. Ooh, there we go, I like that warmth. You see the shadows? You see the shadows, how it's beginning to be a little too cool? So maybe I'm gonna go here in the color grading, and I'm gonna warm up the shadows. Maybe it's a warm summer day. So I'm gonna put some orange into those shadows. Maybe the highlights are gonna be a little dash of yellow, right? So we can see now it has a different mood, a different feeling to it. Let's say I always do this, I always mess with the curves. So I'm gonna bring up the darks right here on this side. I'm gonna increase the contrast right there, and maybe bump up the highlights just a little bit. Okay. Let's say I wanna make that green pop. So I'm gonna select the color selection tool right here. Select that green, and I'm gonna maybe make it more saturated. And And I can bring the luminance up a little bit and then make it a little yellow here. It's got an interesting orange looking color here. I'm gonna select that color, which is it's that, what's it called? Orange HSL, right? So maybe I'm gonna increase the saturation a little bit, bring the brightness a little bit so it kind of pops, because it kind of looks hidden. Let's bring it up. Cool, all right. And then maybe I'm gonna hit it with some texture. Ooh, there we go. You guys see, I don't know if you guys can see it from home, but, oops. And you see how it's a little out of focus? If I zoom in, it's a little shaky, so I'm gonna add some texture. You see it just kind of sharpens it a little bit on its own. Maybe a little bit of clarity. And maybe some dehaze. And then I'm gonna add a little vignette. I used to do vignettes all the time. And I found that when I overdid it. Like, you could see it like this, which we all go through that phase when we use the sliders to extremes. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of, that's how we learn. So I'm gonna increase the sharpening a little bit. I'm gonna bring out that webbing, right? Let's say, I don't think I need to do anything else here. But I like this green on this side, and I like some of the blues on this side. Let me see if I can make those blues pop. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna crank this a little bit more. You know what, maybe just saturation. Okay, it's coming around. Luminance. I'm gonna leave it alone. That's it. And I don't like how this light is peering through there, so I'm gonna crop. And I think I like the vertical shot better, so I'm gonna, yeah. Okay. And here we have our lines. So again, composition. When you're cropping, you know, I'm not gonna get, but I like this composition right here where the spider is on this upper, so it's looking down. It's almost like it's going that direction, right? Again, it's like storytelling. You're saying something, you're telling something. Maybe there's a fly over here that's trapped, I don't know. Anyways, so that's my remix. And if I look at it, that's the original. And look at that, pop. Okay, let's go to next, blue. I'm gonna say spider. I'm gonna call it warm summer day for this spider. And I'm gonna post the remix. So this person shared their photo. Again, that's the original, right? And that's how they edit it. And now it's posting my edit. And we're gonna be able to, now this person, their name is Vanderlei Silva, I don't know. And they'll be able to see my edit. Which, be honest with you, there's two completely different feelings here. So there we go. And that's how you start creating a community with people. I like that, actually. That's a pretty cool. Anyways, if you guys like these type of videos, go ahead and follow or like or whatever, but I'm gonna try to do these every day. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and stop. Thanks for watching.